Republicans in Congress have been saying for years that the ACA is broken and that they want to make it better, but they've never.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. I mean, there is a piece that the reason I'm so late, 3 minutes late, because as the music, as I'm going through the stuff, I'm processing that last video, taking some clips out of a great piece that just came on MSNBC, but I had to slice it up to tell the story because there's a whole lot of superfluous stuff in between. And it still went down from 10 minutes to 5 minutes, but we're going to hear that. I need you to hear that. Anyway, welcome aboard. Michael Rudden from Brooklyn, New York. We have Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia, as well. Joe from Los Angeles, California. We have Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas. Lisa Blair is from Atlanta, Georgia. And on the other chat, we've got Margaret H. Simank, Steve Lee, Deborah Foote. How you doing, Deborah Foote? Angie Decadence. I love that. Why that decadence thing, right? Angie Decadence, how you doing? We have David Hearns. And remember, I lose the first few dozens on Substack because, again, that's when it starts. It doesn't start up right away. Anyhow, we got a lot to talk about. And Brother Rudnin gave me a piece for what Donald Trump thought about, not Donald Trump, what, ¿cómo se llama? What Reagan thought about immigration, and I'm going to want to play that, right? But beforehand, there is a TikTok that I was watching, and this TikTok, if it doesn't hurt your heart, if this TikTok doesn't hurt your heart, one would have to say you don't have a heart. You don't have a heart if this doesn't tell you something. And I'm trying to pull it up as we speak. Like I said, I am completely, because of in trying to process all of that, I am completely, of course we're live, Rudnin. You're answering somebody else. I am completely unprepared because I've been just doing a whole lot trying to get these videos together. Well, I've got one video together. The other one I couldn't quite get. So what I want to do is for you to listen to this piece here, this woman. This is heartbreaking. And when I say heartbreaking, that's what I mean. Heartbreaking. Check this out.
This just happened and I'm still shaking, so please stick with me for just a minute. I was just coming out of my doctor's appointment when this happened. But as I was backing out of my parking space, there was nobody coming. As I was almost completely pulled out, the woman parked across from me, pulled her car out a little too fast, and she hit me pretty hard. And I jumped out of the car. She jumped out of the car. She immediately started crying. I asked her if she was okay. She said yes, she was okay, and she just kept saying, "I'm sorry, I didn't see you." And then she opened the back seat of her car to check on her children. She had probably about a 3-year-old, maybe a 5-year-old, and she was asking them if they were okay. She said they're fine. She was just hysterically crying, which I didn't quite understand because it was just a little fender bender. So when I looked down to look at the damage of the cars, her car had a fairly noticeable dent. Mine just had a really, really tiny, barely noticeable dent. But she just started saying to me, "No policía, por favor, no policía, por favor." And she looked so terrified. And I just said to her, I said, what's the matter? Are you undocumented? She said, no, I have my green card, but that doesn't matter anymore. She said, they'll call ICE. ICE will take me away. And she was shaking. She was visibly shaking. She was so scared. Take my kids away. They're going to send me away. And I just told her, I said, it's okay. We don't have to call the police. It's fine. And she gave me the tightest hug I feel like I've ever had. And she just sobbed. I'm still shaking from this. She has a green card and she's terrified. This is Trump's America. This is the America that we're living in right now.
Now, I mean, if that doesn't do something to you, I'm a naturalized American citizen with a passport. So what's next? My passport says, everybody's passport says where you're born, right? Every single person's passport says where you're born. What happens then? We got to ask these kinds of questions. These things are real. These things are real. To show you how far the Republican Party has gone, Michael Rudin found Donald Trump's speech and he passed it on. He's like, Egberto, you got to play this one. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, and then I listened to it and I said, you know what? After listening to this woman, what this woman is going to go through, and then to remember where the Republican Party used to be, from Bush Sr., from Ronald Reagan to Bush Sr. So I want you to check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side. Let's see if I can get that one rolling. I think this is it here. Yeah, this is it. Let's get it out.
Last speech that I will give as president, I think it's fitting to leave one final thought, an observation about a country which I love. It was stated best in a letter I received not long ago. A man wrote me and said, you can go to live in France, but you cannot become a Frenchman. You can go to live in Germany or Turkey or Japan, but you cannot become a German, a Turk, or Japanese. But anyone from any corner of the earth can come to live in America and become an American. Yes, the torch of Lady Liberty symbolizes our freedom and represents our heritage, the compact with our parents, our grandparents, and our ancestors. It is that lady who gives us our great and special place in the world. For it's the great life force of each generation of new Americans that guarantees that America's triumph shall continue unsurpassed into the next century and beyond. Other countries may seek to compete with us, but in one vital area, as a beacon of freedom and opportunity that draws the people of the world, no country on earth comes close. This, I believe, is one of the most important sources of greatness. We lead the world because, unique among nations, we draw our people, our strength, from every country and every corner of the world. And by doing so, we continuously renew and enrich our nation. While other countries cling to the stale past, here in America, we breathe life into dreams, we create the future, and the world follows us into tomorrow. Thanks to each wave of new arrivals to this land of opportunity, we're a nation forever young, forever bursting with energy and new ideas, and always on the cutting edge, always leading the world to the next frontier. This quality is vital to our future as a nation. If we ever closed the door to new Americans, our leadership in the world would soon be lost. A number of years ago, an American student traveling in Europe took an East German ship across the Baltic Sea. One of the ship's crew members from East Germany, a man in his 60s, struck up a conversation with the American student. After a while, the student asked the man how he'd learned such good English, and the man explained that he had once lived in America. He said that for over a year he'd worked as a farmer in Oklahoma and California, that he'd planted tomatoes and picked ripe melons. It was, the man said, the happiest time of his life. Well, the student, who'd seen the awful conditions behind the Iron Curtain, blurted out the question, well, why did you ever leave? I had to, he said. The war ended. The man had been in America as a German prisoner of war. Now, I don't tell this story to make the case for former POWs. Instead, I tell this story just to remind you of the magical, intoxicating power of America. We may sometimes forget it, but others do not. Even a man from a country at war with the United States, while held here as a prisoner, could fall in love with us. Those who become American citizens love this country even more, and that's why the Statue of Liberty lifts her lamp to welcome them to the Golden Door. It is bold men and women yearning for freedom and opportunity who leave their homelands and come to a new country to start their lives over. They believe in the American dream, and over they make it come true for themselves, for their children, and for others. They give more than they receive, they labor and succeed, and often they are entrepreneurs. But their greatest contribution is more than economic, because they understand in a special way how glorious it is to be an American. They renew our pride and gratitude in the United States of America, the greatest, freest nation in the world, the last best hope of man on earth.
All right, folks, I had to go to a different microphone. I don't exactly know what the hell happened there, but you know what? We have to do things in real time. Sometimes we have to do things in real times, and you always have to have your backup. Anyway, so Reagan was right that time. A clock is always right. A dead clock is right twice a day. But let me just say this, right? Because this is important. First of all, let me make a correction. When a lot of speech writers write for their guy, sometimes we make mistakes, and there were some great mistakes there, right there. A foreigner can become a Frenchman, a foreigner can become a German, a foreigner can become a Turk. All those countries allow naturalization, just like the United States accept naturalization as well. Okay, so let's clean that up and make sure that we get that correct. That is a statement of fact. Now, that said, whatever happened to Republicans who were similar to Reagan? Look, I don't like Reagan. Reagan is a complete, he was a complete disaster for the economy. Conservative values destroyed, and supply side economics destroyed this country. Don't get me wrong, that is a statement of fact. However, when it comes to immigrants, those statements hold true. And the truth of the matter is this country need immigrants up the galore. There's no way around it. But what we also realize is that these guys made a bet with the devil. In other words, instead of equity, they chose racism, sexism, and all the isms. Let me tell you, before I play the other video, what I want to do is I want to say something on a personal level that really upsets me, right? I believe that people who have felt certain pains, when they repeat it, it's even worse than those who perpetrated the pain in the first place. Let me explain. Our Jewish brothers and sisters went through the Holocaust. That was terrible. That was horrendous. What the Germans, what Christian nationalists did to our Jewish brothers and sisters, to our brothers, that was horrendous. That was terrible. Now, when we find that Netanyahu and his militia and his army of thugs and criminals have imposed that as well on the Palestinians, I consider that worse. And I'm not talking about on terrorists. I'm talking on innocent Palestinians. I consider that a worse moral deficiency because you have felt that pain. Where am I going with this? As I am watching those thugs arrest our Latino and Haitian and African brothers and sisters throughout this country, I find it appalling. I find it excruciatingly difficult to watch another Latino or a black man treat our immigrants, Latino, Asians, and others as they have. I understand white Christianity and the evil that has represented and the mentality of these people who have never ever felt the pain of more than discrimination, but the pain of being injured mentally, socially, etc. Look, when my white brothers and sisters come and they tell me, I can empathize with you, but exactly what is it like? I get it. But when you see a black person, when you see anybody of color goes ahead and execute the work of those racist SOB thugs, they are worse than them.
They are the worst scourge of the earth. They are the worst scourges of the earth. They deserve no mercy whatsoever. I sit down and I watch. And the funny thing about it, not the funny, the ironic thing about it is many a times they are the worst in the way they treat these people. I've heard and seen a guy who was likely Mexican himself, Mexican origin himself. I've watched him throw down a woman, a Mexican woman, on the ground and slammed. Inhumanity, first of all. Let me tell you how we Latinos learn, man. Women are sacred, man. Look, that's a bit of my culture coming out in that respect. It's not a sexist thing, it's a cultural thing. You just don't do that. You just don't do that. So I am watching this on TV, and I'm saying, when some of the cowards stuff comes down and you get to see a piece of their face, because they're covered up, they don't want you to know who they are. And I look at, that's a black dude. My God, how dare you? You know what it feels like. You know the pain. You know what it's like to be going into a store and be followed. You know what it's like when they're doing these things to you. How dare you do it with somebody else? How dare Netanyahu do it with the Palestinians? How dare my Mexican brother do it with another Latino? How dare they? We, like I said, when this nightmare is all over, they all must pay. Because we have to put a deterrent that this can never occur. We need to know who all these people are so that we can use the law to get back at all of them. All of them. That is where we have to get to. Mark it down. Know who these people are, because I tell you what, they must pay the price legally. Now, there's another TikTok that I do want to show you, and I hope I don't lose this other mic after I play this one, but this is great because this brother here that I'm going to put on, I love what he has to say. Look, let me tell you, you couldn't give me $50K to do it. You couldn't give me $50K to do it. But even if they got $50K, LBW, La Profesora LBW is in the house. Even if they gave them $50K, let's say they're doing it for the money, LBW, the inhumanity with which they treat the person. Let's say I needed to take the $50K. I'm going to treat these people well. I'm going to say, okay, I have to do this. And I'll be whispering in their ear, oh, I'm so sorry. I have to arrest you or whatever. But I'm not going to be throwing them on the ground and being... First of all, I wouldn't take it. And you know how I know I can withstand the pressure? There are times in my life when things were very hard and there was easy money to be made. And I looked at myself and I said, what would I think tomorrow? Or how would I look at my kid? How would I look at my kid? So no, I wouldn't take the $50K. I couldn't take the $50K and live with myself. But again, even that, the way they treat these people. But let's go to my brother, because I want you guys to see this. But again, I want to repeat this again. Black people, Latinos, they should be treated much more harsh. Just like Netanyahu should be treated much more harshly. Because they know the pain. They know the pain. They know the pain. And that hurts the heart. They know the pain. Let's go ahead and get to that picture. Bear with me, guys. I gotta remember where the hell I have it, and then I'm gonna come with it, because this brother here, I love this dude for what he's gonna be doing. I wanted to listen to what he had to say. You know what he had to say, man? He became woke. When you become woke, the evil leaves. When you become woke, you are aware. When you become woke, you are a human being. Check this out. All right, it's coming. I am going to get it. Like I said, we had all kind of technical issues today, but I am going to get that.
Injustice as a nation, who
All right,
we actually are versus
let's
who
see
we
if that does
think
it.
we are. And I
All
was
right, come on,
asleep
let's
in a
go
very
again.
real
Let's
sense.
go again.
Okay, I'm about to infuriate someone, but I'm thankful that Trump came along. For one reason, and hear me out here. Because before Trump, I was a lifelong Republican. I didn't see any of what I see today in terms of our history, the layers upon layers upon layers of injustice as a nation, who we actually are versus who we think we are. And I was asleep in a very real sense, but Trump woke me up. And I started digging and reading and learning our history. And I realized that Trump, in so many ways, is the embodiment of everything we don't want to admit about ourselves as a nation. He is a mirror to America. And this is why we made our documentary, The Sins of Our Fathers, which will be coming out later this fall, to help others who are still asleep to wake up. Because I believe that God is holding this mirror of Trump up for us so we can see ourselves, particularly the white Christian community, which is what the film is all about. So we can see the hypocrisy, the racism, the cruelty, the greed that has all been justified in Jesus' name, from slavery to Jim Crow to MAGA. Because this film isn't about Trump. It's about us, who we are as a nation, the mythology that we have passed down generation after generation, that we're some sort of city set on a hill, when what we really are is a whitewashed tomb full of dead men's bones. Okay, I'm about to infuriate someone, but...
All right. Now, I can't wait to see the film. But the brother got it right. The brother got it right on all the ills that come in this country, or that was formed in this country. So this immigration thing really got me today because, again, when I saw this TikTok, I said to myself, you know what? Maybe this woman would get to some one of your hearts. Maybe, you know, maybe it would make... Mike Cisak, did it make a difference to you? Of course not. Of course not. But that tells you where we are. That tells you where we are. So what I want to say to my brothers and sisters here, right, is that was a test. That video was a test from that woman who had that experience with that immigrant, a woman who had her green card, and the fear that she has. If that didn't touch you, if that didn't make a difference in you, I can tell you categorically that you lack humanity. And not only do you lack humanity, but that there's something actually wrong with you. And God forbid if you have any children. All right, change of subject now. This one is important. The actual reason for the shutdown is Obamacare. The Republican Party think they could find a way to simply get rid of it by attrition. But what the clowns don't realize is the following. The subsidies that Democrats are fighting for is above and beyond the original subsidies in Obamacare. Now, is Obamacare very much a giveaway to the insurance companies? Yeah. But that's all the neoliberals in the Democratic Party would allow. Everybody gets the insurance company walk off with a windfall, and, well, that's how you play it in a capitalist world. But what the Republicans want is even worse. They want you to have a semblance of insurance that doesn't cover anything. So right now, Obamacare is a wasteful giveaway to insurance companies, just like Medicare Advantage is a wasteful giveaway to insurance companies. But what the Republicans want to do is allow you to be scammed. Period. No insurance, and at the same time you think you're paying for something and you're scammed. Which penalty do you want? I think I'll take the overpriced penalty. Okay? Now, let me just say this. There's a discussion that occurred on MSNBC, which is going to be eventually MS Now. It's the closest thing we're going to have in the mainstream media to get useful, somewhat information other than what you're going to get here on independent media that we have building the infrastructure that we're building out with a whole lot of folks doing this work. But you know what? This particular piece, it was about 12 minutes long. I got it down to 5 minutes with the most important parts. I want you to see this because this sort of tells the story. And for those of you in red states who want the Republican orthodoxy, who want the conservative orthodoxy, remember what you're doing to yourselves.
Republicans in Congress have been saying for years that the ACA is broken and that they want to make it better, but they've never proposed a plan, only promises upon promises of one to come. Just watch Republican Senator Bernie Moreno of Ohio.
If the government reopened tomorrow, do you think Republican leaders have a plan on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, but Senator, you're saying that Republicans do have a plan.
Absolutely.
What is that plan?
Well,
I mean,
we have to have
can people see it?
Sure, we have to have PBM reform. We have to look at the ways that we have a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse in the healthcare system. We have to let the marketplace work. There's no transparency or competition. It's going to take 3 or 4 months to really bring a consensus to that plan. In the meantime, what are we going to do? Keep the government closed for 3 or 4 months every time that we have a policy debate? This is nuts.
Okay, so is there a plan ready tomorrow, or you're saying it's going to take 3 to 4 months to coalesce around a plan?
Look, we have different Republicans. For example, Senator Rick Scott, that's brilliant on this topic, that has a lot of amazing ideas. But yeah, of course, we have to build consensus. This is not a one-man show that runs the United States Senate.
What is someone who has open enrollment starting November 1st supposed to do in response to the idea that it would take 3 to 4 months to coalesce around a plan?
Look, Obamacare is a total and complete disaster. Having the COVID era.
But what's Republicans' plan to counter that? I think is my question.
I'm answering it for you. Look, we can't fix Obamacare in 3 months.
I've had a lot of years to try to fix it. That sure sounded, Jake, like concepts of a plan.
I don't know what to say about this. I mean, I watched that clip this morning, and a couple things he says is true, are true. Number one, it will take a long time. It won't. I know Senator Moreno's new around here. It will take way more than 3 to 4 months to come up with a plan that Republicans can coalesce around. And when asked about his plan, what he suggested was pharmacy benefit manager reform, which I'm sorry to laugh, but that's one element of one thing. That's like saying that I've broken my leg and I'm gonna, sit down and that's gonna solve it. I mean, that's not gonna solve it, whether you think Obamacare is good, bad, or indifferent. And in the lead up to a midterm election, an election the Democrats are planning, are vowing, are promising to make about healthcare, that it's not great. And I just want to say one other thing, and this is back to your last hour, Katie, when you had Patty Murray on. I was watching and I was texting you critiques at the same time. This entire shutdown is still about Obamacare. It's not about appropriations. It's not about spending. It's about solving this healthcare issue, which no one is any closer to being able to solve. So I don't know how we get out of this.
President Obama spent his entire political capital on this thing, and Republicans have been trying to overturn it or roll it back since it was passed. They have had 10 years plus to do it or to come up with something new. And yet we still get that gobbledygook from people like Bernie Moreno about how there's plans. Look,
American healthcare is a mess. It's been a mess for decades. Democrats, going back to Harry Truman, have been trying to fix it. When Obama got into office, they said, look, what can we do? How can we make the system better, working within the system we had? And they came up with Obamacare. It was nobody's ideal solution, but they did the hard work of negotiating, of compromising, and putting together a plan that, let's not forget, has reduced the number of Americans without health insurance from 45 million to 25 million, and has guaranteed access for people with pre-existing conditions. Two things that were not true before. Now, Republicans don't like it. They don't like the government spending. They don't like the regulation. And that is a completely legitimate point of view. That's what they believe. They're conservatives.
And I think if you look at Project 25, it probably outlines Mike Johnson's healthcare plan. One of those big things is the cut, not only in Medicaid, but really anything to do with the ACA is just going to go away. I don't think they can get all the health lobbyists together to actually get a really good plan on how they want to do it right now. The other thing, too, that the issue that they have in rural districts, when I was in the 5th District of Virginia, it was 10,000 square miles. We had the most federally funded health centers, and most of the Republican voters actually relied on the ACA and also Medicaid. So it's really interesting. They're going to have a voter problem that's so big for them. It's just sort of...
why don't they just want to fix it and own it? I mean, you have Josh Hawley saying that this is the party of the working class now, and we can put up a map that'll show you who relies on the ACA, and it'll be Republican districts. We can put up a map and show you here it is, who's going to have their Obamacare subsidies impacted most, and it's going to be at most Republican.
The issue that you have with the Republican Party right now is they don't know what to do because there's this lack of talent. You have people who are still doing hearings on angels and demons, and I think right now you got to have a serious adults in the room to actually fix healthcare. And right now, all they can do is try to destroy it.
But what you said is exactly right. This will disproportionately, impact Republican states, Republican districts, and I don't see there's a way to not get the blame if you're a Republican.
Of course, you got to get the blame if you are a Republican. Why? Because it's your fault. Because you're the one that doesn't want to renew the subsidies. You're the ones that want to go to Obamacare and have just a concept of a plan that is never, ever realized. So, of course, you ought to get blamed. So, folks, let's be real here. You see that map that she showed? That map that Katie Tur showed on the screen? That is the winning map for Democrats in 2026. But here's the kicker. Donald Trump is doing some magic. He wants to get you used to seeing troops on the streets and think that he can scare people. You remember that woman that we showed who was scared of the migra, even as she had her green card? You have also American, Latino-looking Americans who have their passports, American passports, and yeah, they think they're going to be scared to go out there and vote. Well, let me tell you something, people. Activists that are listening to me right now, we got a lot of work to do. We got to, first of all, make sure that realize and point out that all these folks, all these white Christian nationalists are paper tigers. The real people are the folks that you see in our chat right now. These are the American heroes that you see. And these are going to be the American activists that are going to go out there and make sure that the right people, or all people, go out there and exercise their rights to vote. And vote accordingly. But let me tell you further. They have already realized that the vote's going to be big, and a lot of people are not going to be deterred, and a lot of Republicans are going to be voting blue. They know that. So let me tell you what's in stage right now. First of all, let me just tell you a good piece of news that I got today. A friend of mine called today. She has a progressive group out here. And she says, Egberto, we got a lot of new people in after the No Kings March. And she says, and in the group, 6 walked in that are Republicans. Let me tell you first of all, if 6 Republicans walked into this woman's progressive meeting, multiply that by orders of magnitude, because it means a lot more. Because when Republicans go progressive, or Republicans go, we're not going to do certain things, they don't go out there and shout to the world and say, I am no longer a Republican. They're quiet about it. If you have that many in her small group that came overtly and do it, that mean under that scar is the disease. I shouldn't use disease because this is what we want. That behind the scene, there is an avalanche waiting to come through. And by the way, I did speak. By the way, LBW, I did speak to, hey, Cheryl, how you doing, beautiful? Cheryl is in the house. Cheryl says we need to take people to the polls and not to be deterred. You're absolutely right. Hey, and to my white people, let me tell you something. You go ahead and look up some Latinos and go to the polls with your Latinos. This is we're going to have to do. Let me tell you a quick little story. During the Black Lives, I was out in St. Louis for the Netroots in St. Louis, and it was during the heights of the Black Lives Matter. I'd gone over to see where Michael Brown was shot and went out there with Nina Turner. I don't know if you know the Congresswoman Nina Turner at the time, and we went out there and we checked out the where he got killed, where he got murdered, and then we had a march. And the whole Netroots was in a room, and Black Lives Matter walked into Netroots, and Netroots is a predominantly white progressive group. We've been trying to. In fact, I just joined the one of the boards there. We're trying to get more people of color here to be more progressive representative. But as it turns out, we all know the reasons why it turns out to be that way. But anyhow. So the Black Lives Matter march into the conference, and they said, we are going to march and close the freeway now. Who's coming? And they put that challenge out there. And there are about 3,000 people at the conference. And I'm saying at least 2,500 of us started marching down the avenue next to the stadium, marched up the freeway, and to go ahead and close down the freeway, and we closed down the freeway. I have all the videos that I was doing then. But here is the kicker. Black Lives Matter, when we closed the freeway, you had about 20 police cars coming the other side, racing down, lights and sirens booming. And you look at the way the stadium is, the freeway is right in front of the stadium, and you see the cars coming down. And the next thing that happened was beautiful. Black Lives Matter stood up and said, white allies in front. Let me tell you what happened. They came and the whole thing came, and everybody locked hands. And then the cops started to come. And let me tell you what happened, guys. Those cops stopped so damn fast, it ain't funny, racing down the freeway. And then when the protest was over, after we closed the freeway, they helped us, and they were so respectful as we exited the freeway, with the white brothers and sisters leading the way to the exit as a method of it was a allyship to say this is not what's gonna happen. It was you had to be there to see what camaraderie had looked like when you had allies and that sort of stuff running. It was a beauty that we had out there. But anyhow, the reason I brought that up is this election cycle. That is the kind of solidarity we are going to need against these white nationalists. That's the kind of solidarity we are going to need against these white Christian nationalists. Because those guys are the instantiation of evil. We are going to need that kind of solidarity when we do the voting in 2026. Because what Donald Trump, let's see what Cheryl says. Breaking news. The Pentagon has issued an order requiring all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and the U.S. territories to train about 23,500 National Guard members as a quick reaction force for nationwide crowd control following Donald Trump's EO. What is EO again? Anyway, so look. So let's be clear here, people. Let's be very clear. This is a time we're going to be holding hands and working together. Michael Rodden says, Egberto, this nation doesn't seem to care much when a black or brown person is taken to the ground by a police officer or by ICE. But if it ever happens to a white person, that's a hell of an outrage. And we've known that for decades, right? And that's what we executive order. Got you, girl. And that is what we've got. That is what we had in St. Louis when we closed down the freeway. We knew that reality. And once they came in front, it was like a shield, right? There was no fighting, no body being thrown to the ground, nothing. Nothing. But anyhow, so that's what it was all about. But let me tell you what is the other thing that they're doing now. The neoliberal Democrats, the Democrats that aren't real Democrats, that are in the bed with the corporatocracy, they know what's coming in 26. Because that map that shows you what's going to happen to healthcare until we finally get to single payer Medicare for all, that picture says that Democrats are going to win big in 26. Not only does it say that, but it also says that the Democrat that's going to win big are the most progressive Democrats. And we have the TikTok of that already, right? Mandami can go out and say, I'm a democratic socialist. And his vote count increases because we're teaching people what democratic socialists mean. It doesn't mean the end to capitalism. It means capitalism is thrown in the corner as a tool for those who want to be screwed. We can't stop people from saying, screw me. We can't stop you. But we also, as people who believe in true democracy, we also have to be honest and say, look, democracy means if you want to be screwed, be screwed. So we have capitalism for those who want to be, that form of capitalism for those who want to be screwed. For those who want free enterprise, we're right here for you, baby. For those who want good health care, we're right here for you, baby. For those who want good transportation, we're right here for you, baby. Leave capitalism for those people who want to go into that rugged individualism that never really works. Leave them to their own divides. But anyhow, so what are they doing? We have a group out, a purportedly democratic PAC that is trying to tell the party, don't do what those lefties want you to do. Don't go to the left. Don't go to the left. Ignore that Mandami is going to win New York and win New York substantially, even with two other Democrats in the race. And he's still going to win good. Ignore that. Go to the middle. That's where you want to be. But the reality is that's not where you want to be. They're telling us in no uncertain terms. Even Donald Trump tries to run like a progressive with some of the things that he's doing. Oh, we're going to give big money to the chip companies? All right. America going to have a stake in the chip companies, and we're going to get some taxes from the chip companies by having ownership. Uh-oh, isn't that called democratic socialism? Oops, oops, oops. Even Donald Trump himself is playing triangulation. Now, what is this group doing? I forgot the name. I spoke about it on my show I started to speak about it on my show this morning at KPFT. They are trying to convince Americans, or convince the establishment of the Democratic Party that they have to do the center thing. And they came out and said, Americans don't like things that are left. They don't like Medicare for all. They don't like child care. They don't like subsidized child care and family leave. And they don't like, and it's all lies. America is not a center-right country. America is not a center-left country. America wants policies that the left folks on the left support. Family leave, yes. A higher minimum wage, yes. Medicare for all or single payer, yes. Subsidies for child care, yes. Those are all the things the Americans want. When you put left on it, then what can I say? You know? I love that. Cheryl is my girl, man. Listen to Cheryl. Cheryl says, I cannot wait to watch the meltdown after Mandami wins. New York City leading the way. Sam Cooke said it best. A change is gonna come. My beautiful Cheryl, you're so right. But let me tell you better. Check this out, guys. Check this out. This is important. People like to look at New York as if it's not a bellwether because it's that blue liberal city and the rest of the country is not like that. Oops, wait a minute. Didn't New York elect Pataki? Didn't New York elect what's his name as mayor? So both New York City and New York State has elected respectively Republican governors in recent times. They just happen to have elected sensible Republican governors that could have been elected in any part of the country. Okay. Now, thank you about that, Michael. You're right about that. Issue by issue focus. You're absolutely right about that. My New York is about 2/3 left leaning. We're not far left, but we are a liberal bastion. There you go, brother. There you go. And you know what? I really don't know, Michael, and maybe you can tell me. What the hell exactly do they mean far left? I consider myself far left, but I don't want central control of the of industry. That's not what I'm looking for at all. I think I am not a communist, although on Sunday I'm going to speak to a communist group to talk about solidarity for this election. But I am definitely not one, because I do believe in the incentivization of a free enterprise system. That's not difficult, right? A free enterprise system. That's all. That's all. All right, let's see what else. LBW says, this is what Dr. Heather Cox Richardson keeps saying. The old white folks need to use our privilege to show up in force at these protests and vote in booths. She said, nothing says we aren't dangerous like a bunch of old white ladies. Well, you know what? A few years ago, a whole bunch of white ladies declared me an honorary woman, after I went through my metamorphoses. LBW says, far left. Here is barely left of center in the rest of the developed world. Thank you, LBW. That's a good description, because think about Margaret Thatcher, who we consider to the right. You think she would ever mess with the healthcare system in England? Think about, not Trudeau, but what was it? The former right winger from Canada. You think they'll ever mess with their Medicare for all? No way. You think they will ever mess with their social safety net? No way. Anyway, we are close to the end of the program, folks, and I've got to get out of here. A lot of stuff to write. I want to thank you all for being here. Please remember that in order to maintain this, we do need your support. And how do you give your support? By becoming paid subscribers of Politics Done Right, our newsletter. And how do you... Trudeau, thank you for that. No. Trudeau? Trudeau was a liberal. Yeah, I think Trudeau was a liberal, wasn't he? Yeah, Trudeau was a liberal. Yeah. Yeah, because Daddy Trudeau and the other Trudeau. Michael René says, please read out in full before closing. Michael, you always make me do this at closing. Why do you wait till closing, brother? All right, here we go. Democrats should have pushed for a single-payer Medicare for all, then compromise on the public option. Instead, Democrats compromised on the compromise, and the result was the ACA, aka Obamacare, aka Romneycare. Democrats compromising on the compromise is a pattern offense for them. To me, Republicans are worse, actively doing harm, but Democrats will betray the needs of the people. We need to shift this dynamic via primary challenges in Democratic primaries. Actually, I'm glad I read it. You know why? Because that's what I forgot to tell you guys. You have to execute in the primaries. That's where we elect the real people. That's where the real progressives get elected. In the primary, just like Mandami did. Anyway, folks, let's go back. Please support the program by going to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Remember, all of you who subscribe get full access to all 5 of my books right away. And that again, that is support us. You can, so let me go ahead and throw that in the chat first. Now, if you prefer another method of support, come on, Egberto, ¿qué es lo que te pasa? Apúrate, hazlo ahí. Okay, here we go. If you want to support via PayPal or any of the other things, I have another link for you, and that's this link. You can actually go ahead and provide support at, I think that is the link that gives you all the different forms of support that you can provide. There we go. Ai no moto. Anyway, folks, so here is the deal. Here is the deal. All our supporters get the perks that you can find in the About section of our Substack website. But I got to get out of here. It's 4:01. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Subscribe at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. You can write me directly at info@politicsdoneright.com. And you can listen to me in the mornings at 6 a.m. Central at right here in Substack as well. But of course, you can, if you're in the Houston metropolitan area, that's 90.1 FM Houston. But it'll be all here on the internet as well. I simulcast all of that. A lot of you that I see in the chat were there this morning. Thank you for being here again. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby, right? I am what? Out! Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.